Boom, shaka, laka, boom. We're back live on a hump day here on the Clay Edwards Show, the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. Coming at you live on 103.9 FM WYAB. After a little weather technical difficulties yesterday, we do apologize for the rerun. It was not planned, but hey, it be like that sometimes. We got SHAUN Yurtkaran here in the ClayEdwardsShow.com studios. Good morning, SHAUN.
Good morning.
Hey, guys, real quick, little house cleaning. We got the shirts designed and ready to sell. They're up on my website, buyfafo.com, buyfafo.com. It is the Vote Felon 24 shirt, Make Liberals Cry Again. You can check it out. It's up on all my Facebook pages, or you can just see it on the website there. We got to sell at least 25 of them to get them printed. We're about a third of the way to our goal, hoping to be able to get them printed next Monday or Tuesday and kind of do one little run. If we sell more, we sell more, but juice has got to be worth the squeeze, as they say, and otherwise I'll just be sending people their money back. But buyfafo.com, get your Vote Felon 24 shirt. And instead of Make America Great Again, it goes Make Liberals Cry Again, just like election night 2016. And that's what all this is about. We made them cry in 2016. We embarrassed them, and they have not forgiven us for it since. They have not forgiven Donald Trump for making them cry like the little sissy witches would be that they are. All right, the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Don't forget, coming up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday night at the Jackson Coliseum, it is the Killebrew International Rodeo. Thursday night, it's just all bull riding. Some people just show up for the bull riding. I love all the other stuff too. But if you just want some bull riding, it's $20 at the door. General admission. You can only get your ticket at the door. Thursday night, starts around 7 o'clock. Bull riding all night long. And then, of course, Friday and Saturday, it's the full-blown rodeo. And they're bringing back the bull poker, the suicide poker, whatever you want to call it. They put a table out in the middle of the the floor there. And they let the bulls loose. And the last man sitting, or girl, sitting, wins the money. Last year, we watched a girl get thrown up in the air, not once, but twice in a super viral moment. The dang near sold. That was on a Friday night. It went viral. The Coliseum was almost sold out Saturday night because everybody wanted to come see bull poker. They're bringing it back both nights this year. Hey, are you brave enough to play bull poker? Get in touch with them. Find them on Facebook, Killebrew International Rodeo. Let them know you want to play bull poker. All right. That's this weekend. Big event, man, and it's for a great cause, too. Teaching our youth how to farm, and that is something very, very important. All right, SHAUN, real quick, man. Yesterday afternoon, as that massive storm decided to creep through the area, we also got news that we have a brand new ding, 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 effed around and found out grand champion got crowned out there in Flowood, got tattooed by the popo out there in Flowood. SHAUN, you're a smart guy, first of all, and you've prosecuted a bunch of crimes. You're a defense attorney now. We have not planned this at all, SHAUN. There's two ways to not get killed in a traffic stop. What do you think those two ways are?
At a traffic stop? In the police?
Yeah, when in an interaction with the cops, there's two ways to not get killed.
I think the first one would just do what they say.
Comply,
and don't act like a jack off. I mean, I don't know. What is that?
Don't point a gun at him.
This is what this guy did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought he was breaking into an apartment or something.
That may have initially been it.
Okay.
But then they had an interaction with him.
Gotcha.
When they called him around the building. A suspicious black man, according to the articles. Found him around the building, and that's when he pulled a firearm on him. And it was at that moment that FA and FO perfectly intersected.
He pulled the firearm on the cops?
He pulled a firearm on the cops.
Well, yeah, that's not a good idea. I mean, that just he seems like you should learn that in elementary school. Don't pull a gun at the cops.
Well, so it's funny you say that, too, because I have offered that before. Early on in the Save Jackson page, it was around the George Floyd time. and all that stuff. And I was like, man, since it's such a pandemic, black folks getting killed by cops on traffic stops, y'all seem to think that is the number one cause of black deaths in America. Why don't we start teaching little young students in school how to get out of a traffic stop alive? Just start teaching them early. We'll get some retired police officers, maybe some current police officers if they're game, to come up, and we'll just teach you. I'll even play the dummy. And I'll show you what not to do on a traffic stop, and then I'll show you what to do on a traffic stop. I
think it's a good point. Me and my prosecutor buddies, while this was going on, you see these traffic stops with police interactions where somebody gets shot. And one of my former prosecutor buddies one time told me, he's like, it's so simple. If you just do what the cops say, even if the cops are wrong or they're making you mad or whatever it is, just do what they say and you're probably not going to get killed. It's pretty simple. Which, you think about it, it really is. Just do what they say.
100%. And then last night, yesterday afternoon, this guy, sure, he probably wasn't going to go home yesterday. He was probably going to jail.
Yeah.
But now he's never going anywhere except to hell.
I'll tell you what's interesting, though. I think it's funny. This came up last few weeks where, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily a race-based issue, because I've had white people come in and talk to me about how the cops just mistreated me. And I was having this really good discussion with, I'm not going to name him, but somebody that works really intently with law enforcement. And it's amazing how, people think the cops are supposed to be nicer when they stop you. Mm-hmm. Like they think they're supposed to give you some courtesy. Like you're getting pulled over for a reason most of the times. And so the general public, a lot of times, there's a lot of people out there, you'd be surprised that just like do they have a right to just ask for my license? But yeah, they do. Yes, that's the answer. But I've just encountered this so many times where I think maybe we just need a general education of the public. Please do what the police say when they stop you. Just to, maybe we should put like one of those MDOT things on 55 or whatever.
It should be part of getting your driver's license.
Yeah, just learn to comply.
Learn to comply. Shut the F up and comply. I've told this story at nauseum, but I want to make a point here. It was a couple years ago. I was sitting in a gas station parking lot in Brandon, right there at the Circle K next to KFC by Great Daniels and all that, right on 80. And I was just kind of pulled up kind of sideways at the front because all the pumps were full. Mm-hmm. Well, then kind of in front of the ice box, Well, then a cop pulls up behind me, and I'm not parked in a fire zone. It's not there's no red paint there, And he taps on the window. He's like, "You're parked like an a-hole." Mm-hmm. I'm like, "You're parked like the same a-hole behind me."
Okay.
What are we doing here?
Right.
My significant other at the time was in the gas station. Mm-hmm. My stepdaughter was in the back seat, and here I am having a conversation with a cop about my parking on private property.
You just did what he said, though, right?
I did, Sean. I'm telling you what, it took everything in me to practice what I preach and just shut my mouth and comply. But what I wanted to say was the audacity.
Yeah.
To sit here, all the other stuff going on, and you're worried about me being parked up against the same building you're parked up against because you want this parking place. And I was just like, I was like, all right. Well, I say because here's what really makes me mad is I don't know if you've ever had your vehicle hit on private property.
Yeah,
had an accident on private property.
Yes,
in
I
a
have
parking
actually.
lot.
Yeah.
What do the cops do when they show up?
Oh God, I can't remember. It's been so long.
I can tell you, nothing we can do. It happened on private property.
That's what I think. Yes.
So where I'm parked at on private property is equally none of your damn business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't seem like
unless I'm parked in a handicap or something like that.
I had a similar situation. The gas station on High Street, the Shell station. Mm-hmm. About 15 years ago, I was going in there, and I was wearing a suit. I had to go to court or something, and I parked in the handicap spot, right? And I just wasn't looking. So I get out, and this JPD officer.
Well, you're a Democrat, so you could.
I could just do that, right?
Park I was thinking because you're actually handicapped.
Yeah, you're right. Mentally handicapped. Yeah, I get it. It'd be cool if I got a pass for that.
Low hanging fruit there.
Yeah, that's right. The cop, so obviously I was in the wrong, and the cop comes out and he's like, "All right, do you know you can't park in here?" And I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I apologize. Whatever I got to do." That's kind of just my reaction with the police. And he just, "Give me your license." And I give him a license, and he reads my last name. He's like, "Are you from this country?" I was like, "No, sir." So then I did lie to the police. I was, "No, sir. I just came to America, and I didn't know what this." He's like, He's like, yes, these blue things with the is where the handicapped people park. I was like, I was like trying to get my best Habib voice. Yes, sir. Not do it again. Like whatever, not to get the ticket.
Well, and that's a great story. I love that, man. Circling back to my deal, there is I almost FAFO'd. Like I wanted to so badly, and the old Clay would have. The old Clay would have been arguing with this Brandon cop in the parking lot and probably gone to jail.
Right.
Over what I deemed nothing. And that's what I was upset about. But my point being is, it sucks getting emasculated by a dude.
Oh, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, especially when you think it's a little power trip or whatever the case may be. Even if you're in the wrong, I just feel like hey, man, you may not know it, but it's illegal to park like this. I thought it would have gone a lot better than, hey, knock, with a kid in the backseat, you're parked like an a-hole.
No, I mean, I think that's the right mentality. And like I was saying before, this is something I've experienced with people that come to me ask these questions, whether they be white or black. We're like, well, do you think the cops can do this? My question has never been, in my entire life, I'll be 45 in a few weeks, has ever been, do I think the cops can do whatever? If they tell me to do something, as long as it's not the goon squad, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to do it.
I'm especially going to do it if they were telling me to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You want to give a dildo, right? Yeah, that'd be a problem.
The resume says that you might want to listen.
Yeah, I mean, the cop says, like, you get pulled over and they're like, hey, you need to come over and, like, clean my car. Yes, sir. Is that what you want me to do? You want to clean the car? Okay, I'll clean the car. I mean, so, and I guess my point by
like heavy shot Tarzan?
Well, you're like Biff in Back to the Future, Yeah. You're like, oh, the second coat there, McFly, right? I got the second coat. But I mean, so I guess my point is, though, I wonder why there's that disconnect in generations where, where we look at it that way, like we're going to do whatever the police tell us to do, obviously. And then there's now groups of folks that think that, like, they've got these, that they shouldn't do that they're like, even if they're in the right, it's just like, look, just comply.
Bro, I haven't been pulled over in a while, but always had, but I used to not be a good driver. I've always had dark tinted windows. Mm-hmm. Let's just say I'm in a 4-door vehicle. For example, because that's what I drive now. If I get pulled over, I roll all my windows down, right. So you can see everything. There's no surprise factor. Mm-hmm. I have my license ready. If my insurance is on my phone or whatever, I have it ready. And I'm like, hey, I have a firearm too, by the way, just letting you know. It's over here. No surprises here. I do not have any drugs on me. You're welcome to whatever. And usually I don't even get a ticket. If you're just very, very cooperative. I say usually. I mean, I've gotten them and I've not gotten them. I guess my white privilege got me out of them. Yeah. Actually, knowing how to act on a traffic stop and being respectful, you get a warning sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I just got pulled over in Ridgeland about a month ago. I was going to get my hair cut at, Lacey. She got her. So I go early in the mornings and it's on, where the original high school is right there when you get off the interstate.
Shout out to Lacey too. She bought one or two of those, the vote felon shirts.
Didn't she? Yeah. Yeah, so I was going over there, and I don't go to Madison County that much, and so it was like 7:30 in the morning, the school zone. And I just didn't know it was a school zone, and I was going over, and I got pulled over by a original police officer, and I was like, he told me, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. I just didn't know, my fault, whatever. And he said, here's your warning.
I have not been here long.
Yeah, I've not been here long. I didn't. He didn't ask me that. That was anyway. I'll tell you who the officer was actually later because I got to know him better as the years went by. But so like I just did, yes sir, I apologize. This was my mistake, and I didn't see it. Got a warning because I was nice about it. You know what I mean?
That's it. I mean, and my point being, and I don't mean to constantly pick on that Brandon cop. I'm just making the point that it sucks, and I practice what I preach. Mm-hmm. It sucks to get emasculated. It sucks to have some dude having a bad day decide to try to take it out on you for whatever reason that may be, if that's the case.
Yeah.
But most of the times, it's not them taking it out on you. Most times, you're doing something stupid, and you're mad that you got called to the carpet on it.
99% of the time, it's your fault that you did something that, violated law in some way. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's a few of those times where the person did not. But even if I didn't do anything, that's kind of like I always tell people about, if you're offered like non-adjudicated probation, even if you didn't do it, I'm taking it. They're like, you're charged with the Kennedy assassination, but we'll offer you non-adjudicated. Oh, yep, taking it. That's kind of the way I look at it. So the same with the police. Even if like I did everything right, I'm going to just assume that I did something wrong. So I'm just going to do what they say.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. We got some Dr. Fauci, Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff for you. I was going to play it yesterday, missed it, so we definitely doing it today. We were right, they were wrong, just like we said. Time for the Nuremberg trials. We'll be right back. breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on WYAB, streaming worldwide on WYAB.com as well as the TuneIn app. And you can always find the podcast. Just search Clay Edwards Show. It's usually up by 10:30, 11 o'clock at the latest. Been spending a little bit more time lately breaking it down into additional clips and better descriptions and all that stuff, really trying to take my game to the next level and really grow this thing. So it's not up quite as early as it used to be. Hey, real quick, man, I want to welcome a new partner to the show, Auto Trim Designs, right over there on Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. Are you looking to give your vehicle a makeover that turns heads everywhere you go? Look no further than Auto Trim Designs on Highway 80 in Pearl, just west of JD Byrider, or Byrider, I guess it's called now. And look, man, you know where Auto Trim Design is. I mean, going all the way back to the early 90s, those guys have been in that same location. If you're heading east on 80, they're right there on the left, right before you get into what you call not before, they're in the heart of Pearl. So just right there. If you're heading east, they're on the left. If you're coming towards Jackson from Pearl, they're going to be on your right. Look, their expert team, should I say, uses the latest technology and the highest quality materials to ensure your ride stands out from the rest. Services include installation of industry-best window tint film from Lumar. Auto Trim uses only the Lumar ATR series metallized window tint. It rivals the competition's ceramic films. Protect your vehicle with the exceptional Expel Ultimate Plus paint protection film. They offer the Stealth, the Ultimate Plus 7, the Ultimate Plus 10, and the Ultimate Plus Black series. With extensive experience in custom graphics and striping of all kinds, Auto Trim Design can design something custom for you, or can bring your own ideas to them. So, hey, just go tell them what you want. They can make it happen for you. Visit them online, autotrimdesigns.com. That's autotrimdesigns.com to explore services and see examples of what is possible. Auto Trim Designs, where your imagination meets reality, on the road, driving style only with Auto Trim Designs. Again, the website, autotrimdesigns.com. Go see my old buddy Greg over there. Greg been tinting windows for as long as I've been alive. Used to be in the mini truck scene, custom car scene, all that stuff. Good folks, man. Good folks. Been around forever. Glad to have them on board. Sean.
Yep.
Enjoyed that segment there.
Yeah.
Didn't plan on that. Was a little unplanned segment.
Using my ethnic heritage to get out of tickets, right?
Well, I mean,
what are you going to do?
You were doing it before it was cool.
Yeah.
So,
hey.
Dr. Fauci and Marjorie Taylor Greene went round and round, or more like Marjorie Taylor Greene used Dr. Fauci as a punching bag. And in this, Dr. Fauci admits that he was just making it all up as he went.
Okay.
The 6 feet thing, the mask thing, all that. Just made it all up. Ruined people's lives, businesses, had us normal, good, God-fearing Americans shouted down in grocery stores, called Nazis because we didn't want to wear a mask, asked, did you want to kill Grandma?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Do you want to kill Grandma? Look, Grandma's lived a good life. Maybe it's time to make room for somebody else. That's all I'm saying. I'm kidding. Look, anyway, here we go. Let's listen to it if y'all ain't heard it yet.
Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci?
And I apologize. It's got some music behind it. This is the only clip I could find on Twitter last night when I had the time to look.
I am a scientist who uses the scientific method to gain information.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no answer.
Yes, it's a yes or no.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, we'll take that as you don't know what you represent.
But
this, as director of the NIH, you did sign off on these so-called scientific experiments. And as a dog lover, I want to tell you this is...
So the visual would help a little bit here. These are the experiments where they put the dogs' heads in the boxes and just really, really gross, inhumane things. There's some beautiful little, what appear to be beagles here. By the way, any of us would be put in jail for this.
Disgusting and evil, what you signed off on.
And this little bastard sitting here laughing.
And these experiments that happened to beagles paid for by the American taxpayer. And I want you to know Americans don't pay their taxes for animals to be tortured like this. So the type of science that you are representing, Mr. Fauci, is abhorrent. You confess that you made up the COVID rules. including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing and masking of children.
I never said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made it up. You
I
made it
didn't
up
say
as you went.
I made it up.
So are you saying this is fake news, Mr. Fauci?
I didn't say I made anything up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science and it just appeared.
But this is science. And making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer.
Fauci is no more a doctor than Jill Biden is.
That man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in prison.
Suspend.
Here you are, without your mask.
So this is great. This is a picture of Fauci and his, I guess, wife and one of his kids at a baseball game. They're the only people in the stands, and he got to throw out the first pitch.
Where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people not following the 6 feet of distancing, not wearing your mask, and everyone else was forced to stay home and stop enjoying life. And your science is displayed.
This photo here is some kids like on a stage playing trumpets and band stuff, and they're in these little green pods 6 feet apart from one another in like a high school band auditorium. Just let's revisit some of the stupid nonsense that happened during COVID. I can never get enough of this stuff.
Perfectly in this picture were children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science, your repulsive, evil science. And let's go back to your very own email. You said earlier you don't use email. Oh, you do. Right here. This is your own email where you said the typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus. I do not recommend that you wear a mask. This is your email. This is your own words. But yet children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled in their schools. And then they were forced to learn from home because of your so-called science and your medical suggestions while you and all your cronies get paid from Big Pharma. You know that what this committee should be doing? We should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci.
So I want to say one thing, too. I've been waiting for 2 days to call these people out. The Rankin County School District and the Madison County School District. We went to meetings and board meetings for both of these things about this very topic, taking those masks off those kids, and they refused to do it multiple times. They waited as long as they possibly could to finally allow kids to go to school without masks. Shame on y'all. We told you we were right. You were wrong. You as well should be a part of the upcoming Nuremberg Trials 2.0. Now, Sean, this is what woke you up, right? Was all this nonsense?
Yeah, they're a lot. I wouldn't say the way Miss Green says it because she's, but yes, what bothered me at the time during COVID was specifically of course, at the beginning of COVID, we all remember none of us knew what were going on in March of 2020. Everybody was confused about things, and they're saying do this, do that, whatever it is.
I think first 60, 90 days, people are way more willing to say, let's work through this.
Yeah, and then when they started shutting businesses down for an extended period of time, I was starting to wonder, well, is there a Fifth Amendment, like a takings problem? You know what I mean? Like taking property without just compensation by the government. I feel like, and then I saw some people actually wrote some law review articles about that at the time real quickly. And so I started getting interested in that. And then that letter is the one that hit me. That letter about
the letter from the UMC.
Well, once the George Floyd thing happened, then there was all the protests. And then there was a letter from all these hundreds of medical professionals that said that, that systemic racism was as much as a public threat as the virus. So the protests were okay, where other things were not. And I was like, well, does the virus understand the difference between a protest and another kind of gathering? And that's where I was kind of like, wait a second, this is a little political snow job right here.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'll just never forget the right to work rally that was thrown here in Jackson, the Capitol. And all the nut jobs screamed that everybody that went to that and wanted to go back to work were just a bunch of Nazis that wanted to kill grandma.
Right. I mean, they were making,
and they of course got called racist because somehow wanting to go back to work was going to kill black people too.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing they were sitting there also, they told, again, this goes to my rule following thing, with the police, like we said last segment. Well, so they're telling us all to stay home and do all these things that I'm doing because I'm trying to listen and be a good citizen. And then there's the George Floyd thing and the protests, right? Which I'm not saying I'm against any protests or whatever. It is what it is. But my point was, you're telling everybody to stay home. Like, this is what you've told everybody: to shut all their businesses down, destroy the economy. Everybody needs to stay home for the health of the country. Fine. But then you're saying, well, but if it's related to systemic racism, that's as much as this is what they specifically said, it's as much of a public health threat as the virus. And then so go out there and congregate and have these protests, and that's okay. But then if you want to do another kind of protest, well, since we don't agree with that, then you can't do that. And this wasn't politicians writing this letter. That's what bothered me the most about it. Like, I could see, okay, somebody on the right or the left writing something like that. But these are like doctors that are saying, we believe this. And that, to me, was disingenuous to the public, and that's when I really started having problems with a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, circling back to the cops part of this, the very cops that were arresting business owners for running online boutiques during COVID, the very cops that were arresting people for sitting out on the beach, the very cops that were arresting people for surfing out in the middle of the ocean during COVID, and I can go on and on and on harassing folks in the grocery store for not wearing a face mask. Those very cops were the same ones out there at these George Floyd rights bending the knee and apologizing for stuff they never did. Now, I want my damn bent knee apology for putting us through the hell y'all put us through for 2 damn years. I want an apology from the school districts for putting those kids through that. And we ain't even got to the vaccine yet. That's coming up in the next segment. We will be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. I got your text. We'll read some more of them when we come back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on WYAB. Guys, get out tonight. It's the finals of Cordless Corner right there at Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, downtown Brandon. We're down to the last 3 acts. It's going to be so exciting to see these guys and girls who have worked their butts off for the last 5 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it's been, come down to tonight for all the cash prizes, concert appearances, and more that they're going to get to come their way. We're super excited about it. Starts at 7. We'll be there till 10 p.m. I will be there with a box full of FAFO shirts and tank tops. I'm picking the tank tops up today. I will be there in person, judging, obviously, and I will have shirts with me. Would love to see y'all out there. Come by, see us, grab a shirt, grab something to eat, and enjoy just a night full of great entertainment. I keep saying it, Mississippi's greatest export is Mississippians. And, man, when you come see these talented musicians do their thing, you'll understand what I mean. If it's been a while since you've gone to seen a, air quotes, local act, man, you are in for a surprise. Cookie Woo, little brother and sister from Meridian, definitely grew up with a hard rock influence. Somebody in the family, presumably the mom and dad, loved hair metal. And these kids definitely are influenced by that. You got the Stevens brothers. They're 2 brothers here locally that country acts. They're going to be in Nashville one day and probably soon. And I forget who the third person is off the top of my head. I'm sorry, this is an unplanned segment, unplanned read here. But there's a third person who I'll remember in a minute. I'll make sure I give them their glory. But get out here tonight to Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. Kicks off at 7. Hey, don't forget, man, Burgers, Blues, Barbecue Flowood is now open, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 6 days a week. It's open right now for breakfast. Stop by, grab the chicken and waffles. Don't forget they got multiple food trucks, too, and plate lunches every day that they're open, or Monday through Friday. Let's take a phone call here real quick. Not Your Average Joe is on the line. Hey, brother.
Hey, Clay. You know, you were talking about just the hypocrisy and stuff with the whole COVID policies and stuff like that. I'd heard on Mike Madison's show this day before yesterday, and he was talking about the amount of rebates that the doctors get for when they vaccinate their patients.
Uh-huh.
And he was saying that it's like it accumulates to like over $1 million a year. That was like one doctor who said that that's what he was getting. Another doctor said, you know, they regretted not pushing it because it ended up a difference of like over $1 million. And I thought to myself, I mean, is that not a conflict of interest, especially if the government is paying for the shots, but the pharmaceutical companies give some of that money back as a rebate to the doctor to push the vaccine?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And not to mention it's a forced inoculation, typically.
And so the doctors aren't even operating out of the benefit of their patients. Because, I mean, I'll say my local doctor, when all that stuff was going on, and I had educated myself and had strong opinions against the vaccine, and he would go, well, you know, you go in for a cough or a cold, and well, you want the COVID shot? I'm like, no, I don't want the COVID shot. And I'm like, well, I said, why not? It's great. And I said, no, it's not. I said, I don't trust the mRNA technology. He said, well, take the Johnson & Johnson. It doesn't have it in it. I said, yes, it does. You know, well, then you want to get the flu shot. And even before COVID came out, local doctors, local schools were getting rebates, like private schools and things like that, getting rebates from pharmaceutical companies to push the vaccine on their students. I mean, to me, that just, I'm like what Sean just said. I mean, I had lost so much confidence in the medical establishments for the way they handled that thing and the way they were bought off and they pushed stuff just because they were getting money back on it.
Look, brother, this is the very reason I had a good family doctor and still do that told me early on. He said, Clay, I asked him, I was like, they said ask your medical professional about it. Don't just get all your information off Facebook and the internet. So that's exactly what I did. I asked my doctor, should I get this vaccine? This was before it got super politicized. You know what I mean? And
right.
He said, no, don't do it. For the most part, you're healthy. You need to lose a little weight. He said, this is a pandemic of variants. And he said that before I ever heard anybody in the media talk about pandemic of variants. He said, by the time they get the vaccine for this, you'll need another one for the next. And it's always going to be running a variant behind. And, man, could he have not been more right? And I lost faith in our major medical industry, but man, did I gain it in our local hometown doctors that weren't pushing this nonsense.
I wonder how much your doctor lost in not pushing and getting rebates back. And that's a respectable point on your doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I had to go see him, knock on wood, but because I took his advice and when I did get COVID and I was sick for a week or so, I took that opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to get sick again. I'm going to get healthy. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years now. Hey, brother, look, I got to play something before we go to the next break, man. I'm going to cut us short here, but thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Sean, I want to play this, and we're just going to go to break after it, and we can kind of break it down a little bit before the top of the hour. Mm-hmm. It's 3.5 minutes long. I want to remind y'all, especially all my unvaccinated people out there by choice and my people who got forced inoculated, I want to remind you all who the enemy in this country is, and it is the mainstream media. Here is a compilation of the mainstream media blaming everything on the unvaccinated and guilting, and not just mainstream media, politicians as well, guilting us all into getting the vaccine so we don't kill them.
You are the unvaccinated. You are the problem. It is the unvaccinated who are the problem, period, end of story.
The only people that you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
All those vaccinated folks are going to start wearing masks to protect the unvaccinated folks. It's called a Christian value.
You're basically punishing the vaccinated for the sins of the unvaccinated.
People are not behaving honorably. The unvaccinated are basically saying, well, it's open season for me. I can do whatever I want as well.
The unvaccinated are basically beating their breasts, running around the country saying, we don't care, we're living free, and so forth.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
The unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No. Screw your freedom.
The other day, Howard Stern weighed in with a much different approach. Take a look.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? Their freedom.
You're treading on our freedom and you're making other people sick, and really you're killing other people.
The anti-vaxxers, they seem to have a thing for death and home remedies.
The anti-maskers turned anti-vaxxers are not just putting their own lives at risk. If that was the issue, we could just say that we can watch them compete to win place or show in the Darwin Awards.
We have to start doing things for the greater good of society and not for idiots who think that they can do their own research.
And don't get me started on the lunatics who won't take any of the COVID vaccines.
Life is too short to be an ass. Life is way too short to be ignorant of the promise of something that is helping people worldwide.
Maybe you're doing it because you're disconnected or disorganized. Maybe you have some sympathetic psychological reasons. But maybe you're just being antisocial.
Oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are.
Those who are not vaccinated will end up paying the price.
The unvaccinated should be taxed. They should pay more for health care.
We need to start looking at the choice to remain unvaccinated the same as we look at driving while intoxicated.
We're going to see, and I've said, almost two types of America.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Pointing back to the unvaccinated who are really creating a problem in this country, every death that we are seeing from COVID could have been prevented.
Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on y'all. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show with Sean York-Ron. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got about a minute and a half here. I want to play Dr. Fauci admitting that the COVID vaccine was not 100% effective, and it's going to take us to our top of the hour break. We'll discuss on the other side.
The vaccine saved millions of lives, and I want to thank you for your support and engagement on that. However, despite statements to the contrary, it did not stop transmission of the virus. Did the COVID vaccine stop transmission of the virus?
That is a complicated issue because in the beginning, the first iteration of the vaccines did have an effect, not 100%, not a high effect. They did prevent infection and subsequently, obviously, transmission. However, it's important to point out something that we did not know early on that became evident as the months went by, is that the durability of protection against infection and hence transmission was relatively limited, whereas the duration of protection against severe disease, hospitalization, and deaths was more prolonged. We did not know that in the beginning. In the beginning, it was felt that, in fact, it did prevent infection and thus transmission, but that was proven as time went by to not be a durable effect.
Yeah, it definitely had a positive effect for many people, especially those that were vulnerable. But we knew from the trials that people that got vaccinated.
We will see y'all on the other side of this break. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Sean York-Ron. We'll be right back to discuss all this and more. Boom goes the Dynamitis, hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the radio in all of Mississippi. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards. This is the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality. radio. And man, hour one was as reality as it gets. I got Shaun Yurtkuran here in the studio with me. This segment's going to be brought to you by our friends over at Pure Air Consultants. I tell you what, my power went out for about 30 minutes yesterday. Thankfully, that was it. My girlfriend went out for 5 or 6 hours. And look, just inside that 30 minutes, with it rainy and cloudy outside, my house got hot quick. I mean, it got up to every bit of 72, 73 degrees in there with the power out for a few minutes, and I was dying. I thought I was going to die. It was even worse outside. Anyway, but it just got me thinking how terrible it would be if my air went out during the daytime for multiple days. I'd have to get a hotel room, go stay with my girlfriend, something. But look, ever wonder why your AC has stopped working? The common reasons for this issue include issues like a flip switch, a dirty condenser, an improperly sized unit, an old unit, and a malfunctioning thermostat. For over 40 years, Pure Air Consultants has been delivering exceptional cooling systems to Central Mississippi, and they want to offer you a rare gift, a free labor warranty for 5 years. Man, I'll tell you what, you ever had to pay an HVAC guy, you understand that a free labor warranty for 5 years is priceless. New construction builds, thermostat installation, and more. Financing is available. Pure Air Consultants also specializes in air duct cleaning, air duct sealing, and dry vent cleaning. Make sure you are breathing clean air, and it's as clean and fresh as possible. Check them out online, mypureairconsultants.com. That's mypureairconsultants.com. And let's go straight to the Mazda of Jackson phone line. Y'all have been blowing it up today. I hate to not answer it. Let's go. Hey, you're on there. Hello? Hello? Man, I hate it for you guys when you call and you don't say anything. Mazda Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. Shaun, let's unpack this Fauci stuff for just a minute, man. Let's read a few texts on the Guns and Gear text line. That number is 769-241-1944. I've already had a couple people reach out to me and ask me to send them that clip of the media blaming the unvaccinated. I just retweeted it, or whatever you call it, reposted it on X. Go to @SaveJXN, and you can find it there. I mean, I don't mind sending it to y'all, but help me out during the show. And if you need it sooner, go to my Twitter, and it's there, @SaveJXN. Let me pull up the text line here real quick. Shaun, what you made a great point during the break while I'm pulling this up. You said, man, if it was 100% or close to 100%, effective, you would be on the train of get your butts vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you operate on the premise that this is 100% effective at the time, let's say we're just dealing in early 21, I guess is when it started coming out.
Well, let's play that forward and say that it was 100% effective.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd be having this conversation now?
No, it'd be hard to, I think. Right, yeah. I think it'd be hard if they – I think what got the proponents of the vaccine in trouble were telling people that it's 100% effective when it wasn't. And, first I think they said that you weren't going to be able to get it. And, of course, shortly we found out that that was not true. And then they went with, well, you can get it, but you can't transmit it. And then, of course, they did some more research and it's like, oh, wait a second, you can transmit it too.
Actually, you were shedding and you were more contagious.
Yeah, I think that's right. And so, I think what people get mad about is when they're being lied to. They don't, they're okay if you tell them they could have said this.
Let's say vaccinated people were super spreaders.
Yeah, I mean, well, they could have said this at the beginning. They could have said, hey, look, we got this vaccine. It's working, but we don't know whether it's going to prevent you from 100% getting it or 100% transmitting it. I think if you just been up front, so take it if you want to, don't take it if you don't want to. I think if they just said that, everybody would have been like, okay. I mean, I don't think there would have been all this, But when you say oh, we know 100%, you ain't going to be able to get it, you ain't going to be able to transmit it, you need to take it, and if you don't, you're going to get fired and all this other stuff, all these social consequences that there were to it. So I think that, it's the lying that's the problem. And then, of course, I've had that argument with other people, and they're like, well, they didn't lie, they just didn't know. Well, I'm like, yeah, that's still lying. Saying when you don't know is lying, I mean, it just is.
Well, it is, and I think there has to be consequences and repercussions based on the amount of money people made. The NIH, Shaun, on these patents, made over $750 million on these mRNA patents.
Yeah, and especially when you're basing it under a false premise, I think is the problem. this all could have been just changed if they just been upfront about it. Say, hey, it's really working, but we don't know everything about it, and we don't know for sure if you're going to be able to get it, and we don't know for sure, but we think you got a good chance. If they sold it like that, right? At that time, people were so desperate for some sort of vaccine that they would have. I think a lot of people still would have taken it.
I just want to play this tiny little clip here, 10 seconds, of Jimmy Fallon, not Jimmy Fallon. Who's the other one? Used to be on the Man Show.
Not Colbert, but the other. I can't remember his name. Sorry.
Anyway,
it's been a while. I know the Man Show though.
the fat one. I just want to play this here. Jimmy Kimmel.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Rest in peace. I can't wait for him to die. And the first thing I'm going to say is rest in peace, Wheezy.
Wheezy. He's making a Jeffersons reference there?
Either Jefferson or Lil Wayne. I don't know.
I thought Wheezy was from the Jeffersons. Maybe that just tells you how old I am, dude.
Touche. Yeah. All right, let's read some text on the Guns and Gear text line. And look, I'm saying they don't want us to peel the scab off of this. They want us to pretend this didn't happen. They just want to pretend they were on the right side of history, and they weren't. And then, there was one of those clips somebody talked about. I think Kimmel actually said, "Eat your horse gobbledygook." Well, that was right there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, okay. You were
ivermectin.
Right, I know exactly. Yeah, I mean, you weren't supposed to, okay, I guess, go to the veterinary feed store and get it. But ivermectin didn't win the Nobel Prize.
Yep, the Nobel Prize as an antiviral
and
medicine.
There were tons of doctors prescribing it to people in a human dose, that was acceptable, not a horse dose. But I think there was a lot of shame on people for looking for those other methods that just a little crazy to shame them like that for doing that.
So they were able to do this state of emergency thing because there was not a medicine allegedly to stop the spread.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was in ivermectin.
Yeah,
but they couldn't do the state of emergency to do all the stuff that they did to us. We don't have to run it down. Everybody knows what we're talking about here. Basically, it was the greatest transfer of wealth from the middle class to the upper class in the history of this nation.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't have done all that without the state of emergency, the shutdowns, and everything else. So that's why they had to push the ivermectin thing. It's like they didn't anticipate people prescribing ivermectin and people being able to figure out that ivermectin would work.
Yeah, I mean, also the camp initially when they were talking about this is a horse medicine and people were getting a feed store. Of course, I was like, oh wow, that's kind of stupid. Like, why would you go to? And I don't think it was a good idea to take a level in animal doses, but once you kind of dug into it and I was reading about it, like, wait a second, there's doctors that are prescribing what's safe for humans to take, and this is a Nobel Prize winning kind of medication. So, my point is, the media was distorting the view of it. Like, there might have been a few people.
They were being paid by Pfizer.
Yeah.
Every segment brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah.
Or Johnson & Johnson. They were paid to push this.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm going to call them out right now. It's why I better not hear anybody over at Super Talk having this conversation today or this week. They had promos with their DJs or whatever you want to call it, host, pushing, go get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Go get vaccinated. They were being paid to do that, I would assume. You know, so I don't want to hear them having this conversation today at all.
I mean, it seems to me like why they, kind of what you're saying, like they're sitting there trying to say immediately shame the whole thing. And because, I mean, if you look at the base level, you say, this is your news report. People are going to the feed store to get horse medication. It sounds ridiculous, right? When you say it like that.
Well, they try to spook you, then they lied. Remember that image they posted of people in line at the emergency room in Oklahoma because they had ivermectin poison?
Yeah, something like that.
And it was a photo from the wintertime, and it was in the middle of summer, and they tried to pass it as a current photo. Everybody was in their jackets, bundled up, forgetting it was June.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a complete distortion of the actual facts. And initially I read it, like, wow, this is crazy. Why are people doing that? And again, like, I read into it, I'm like, wait a second. This is this is not exactly what the media is saying it is. So, we talked about this at the break. This all, every issue we talk about boils down to the same thing. You ever think about that?
What is
the media distorts every GD thing.
Everything, man.
I was telling you at the break, I was watching an American Revolution documentary last night. and they're talking about the Boston Massacre. And everybody as a kid has seen that painting of all the British soldiers shooting up, and remember they killed the first, and a black man, Crispus Attucks, was the first person to actually kill in the American Revolution at the Boston Massacre. And it looks like these British soldiers just massacred all these, of these Massachusetts citizens in Boston. Well, that's not really what happened. What happened was these guys, the Americans started a little riot and were acting like jackoffs and like threw bottles and bricks and, like Kenny would say, at the soldiers, kind of nervous, and ended up having to shoot a couple of them. And then they later went to trial for murder and were acquitted. And John Adams actually represented them. At the time they were pushing that narrative because they wanted to get support for a war, and so the whole public, and even I think for generations, thought, wow, this was really a massacre when it wasn't.
Yep. Let's take a call on Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on there.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I was just listening to the show, and I know y'all was talking about the Dr. Fauci and the all the propaganda with the vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was just thinking, like all the companies that were demanding that you had to be vaccinated. Do you think that they would maybe owe the people maybe like a reapply kind of thing, or who could get sued for this? Because some people weren't able to get jobs because they weren't vaccinated. Me being one, I refused the vaccine, and I was turned down for a few jobs. Now to go a few years later to find out, hey, well, we didn't really need it. It was just a hoax. How does that work?
Well, they were given a ton of protections on these things. But I think you got to go back and look at all that and got to say, you know what, we're going to have to strip your protections, and you, in fact, can be sued for this lie. And I think it has to start with the NIH and Dr. Fauci and work to Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and all these other major companies that had vaccines, and they all need to have their kneecaps sewed off. If you can sue a company for OxyContin and all that stuff and the addictions it caused and all the deaths it caused, you can absolutely 100% should be able to sue these vaccine companies for forcing an experimental vaccine on people and paying for the media to promote it, and then the employers. And this is where I lose. This is where I lose it with the Libertarian Party. Is they think it's okay for a privately owned business, to force employees to get vaccinated. I 100% don't. Now I think all those businesses that forced it have absolutely have legal exposure. Actually, I know they're doing the irony, and irony in this is they're the only people in this that have legal exposure are the businesses that force their employees to do it after they were basically being forced by the government to do it if they had more than 100 employees or government contracts. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I would love to see a landmark case come out of somewhere to kind of set the precedent on this.
I agree. Hey, thanks for that.
Hey, great call, brother. Thanks. Let's take a break real quick. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Sean Yurtkaran. We're going to shift gears when we come back. I could talk COVID for all week, and that's not what I got Sean in here for. We're going to talk some Jackson stuff. We will be right back. And I will read your text before we get out of the show today. Be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Guys, I mentioned it when we opened the show, the website. I've got the shirts up that I talked about the other day, the Trump supporting shirts that say Vote Felon 24, Make Liberals Cry Again on it. It's got an upside down American flag on the sleeve, since that makes liberals so mad nowadays. Like, well, what do you mean the country's in distress? The country's not in distress. Oh, it's definitely in distress. And we're going to take the word felon back. We're going to inoculate the word. Is that the word? Am I using the right word? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to make felons cool again. We're going to make being a felon great again. And I mean, Sean, since when did Democrats, when did felon become a smear word again? I thought we were supposed to worship George Floyd.
What was the, wasn't there a term a couple of weeks ago we were talking about that you brought it up that they use in, so what's the term?
A justice.
Justice what?
Justice involved individual.
Yeah. Why did you call Trump that? The justice involved individual.
Yeah. Justice interrupted individual
something
or
like
something.
That. Yeah.
And apparently in Illinois, you don't have felon on job applications anymore. It's a justice interrupted
something, right?
Yeah.
Justice offender or no, offender. That's too bad. You can't use the word offender.
No, something. Well, look, real quick before we jump down that rabbit hole, A1 Gear and Auto, guys, get out there if you need any automotive work and repairs done, especially when it comes to your ring and pinion. The best vote of confidence I can give a mechanic shop is the fact that I take my kids' vehicles there. My family takes their vehicles there, and you will not regret taking your vehicle there. It's going to be diagnosed properly the first time. He's going to tell you exactly when it's going to be ready, and that's when it's going to be ready, unless there's an issue with getting parts or something along those lines. But they usually figure that in before they tell you when it'll be ready. And it's going to be very reasonably priced. But, hey, it's kind of like a good tattoo ain't cheap and a cheap tattoo ain't good. Same energy when it comes to your mechanic shop. If it's too cheap, you may want to open up that side eye just a little bit and ask why. So A1 Gear and Auto's got you covered, but they are the industry leader in your ring and pinion, but they can handle everything else too, from a check engine light to your air conditioning not working and your front end repairs. They can do it all. Brakes, everything. A1 Gear and Auto, Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. Oh, yeah, by the way, my website is buyfafo.com. I always forget to mention that. Buyfafo.com. And Sean, it's called Justice Impacted Persons.
I just found the Marshall Project where they actually go into this in depth. Yes, justice. So can we call Trump's a justice impacted person?
A justice impacted person.
Well, you don't want to call people inmates anymore. It's just people in prison is the term. I just found this. It was pretty interesting.
We're talking about the same people, because the NBA is so woke. Hashtag NBA so woke that they don't have owners anymore. They have presidents or something stupid like that. They couldn't stand the fact that it's basically owned by all white people, and the players aren't the owners. So when they were talking about the owners, it would sound like this. They said that it had this slavery incarnations or whatever. Anyway,
you're right. Yeah, but I'm looking at the justice.
It's so stupid to be stupid.
You think Chokwe is going to be a justice impacted individual?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Justice impacted individual.
That's what we should call him. The justice impacted mayor.
So let's shift gears to Jackson. Mm-hmm. I don't know where to start, to be honest. Let's play this clip of Vernon. I had it, of course, and then I clicked off of it real quick, and we're just gonna weave all this together. There's some shenanigans going on in Jackson, y'all. If you, in case you're new here, there's some shenanigans. I'm calling shenanigans. Get the brooms going on in Jackson. They're doing some redistricting. So what you got? What I'm about to play here? It's only about a minute long. It's Vernon Hartley and Virgie Lindsay. Hartley wants Virgie to give him her part of downtown Jackson because 3,000 people have moved out of his part of Jackson. It's like, well, I ate all my food. Now I want yours. And I saw Vernon on the news last night crying about the public cemeteries not getting mowed in his district. Well, if there was ever a problem that seemed like yours to solve, this would be it. If you can't get the city to mow the grass in your district, you don't need to have a district.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So I had someone call me yesterday, right? And the grass downtown in front of the federal courthouse has not been mowed in months.
Yeah.
And they had called to try to get this done. Well, apparently, they said, this was the answer that they gave. Well, we don't, we only call and mow things when people complain. That's what they said. Yeah. So you got to call and complain about, they just don't do it on, schedule. It's like, once it gets overgrown, you got to complain enough and then they'll come and do it.
I mean, can somebody explain to me why there is a city services maintenance department or whatever they're called? I mean, what do they do? I bet they mow the mayor's yard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he might be mowing other people's yards for long.
I sure hope so. No knock on lawn maintenance guys.
No. But you know what I mean?
Let's
get Lewisburg.
Let's play this video, this little clip here of them arguing real quick, and we're going to pull this back to a couple folks on the city council that may not be on there much longer.
Further, why is it that all these large, buildings and that is what you're not willing to compromise on? Why is it that all of these things that are profit, and you got all of downtown, right now you have been sitting on all of downtown for years.
And they're placed with non-representation.
Yes, they are. But it's more than just them. You want to compromise something, you want to show something, and hey, look, let somebody else have a piece of the pie of downtown. Why does it have to be Ward 7? And just all I'm asking for is a sliver. That's all.
I think you got.
You got a sliver. You got more than a sliver. And I'm giving you more than a sliver, Mr.
If you zoom this thing out.
Okay, let me ask this: why does he need more?
I think there's something, and I haven't read enough in this, but someone was telling me you have to have a certain amount of maybe residents to justify the ward. I think that may be true.
Well,
I think that may be the reason they're doing that.
Well, if you eliminate one councilman, you have to eliminate two.
Yeah, so you have
you got to have an odd number.
Mm-hmm.
I can just tell you, I know government. You know government. Well, I know it well enough. You know it very well. I know it well enough to know that nothing ever goes away.
Right.
Yeah. If anything, they may split this thing up into smaller wards.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to redistrict themselves out of a job. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think
they're not going to redistrict themselves out of a job.
Yeah, no. There may be something to do with the census where they have to have a certain amount of residents to just. That's what I'm assuming the whole thing's about.
We really just need to get back to a commissioner and a mayor form of government.
Yeah,
this council is just ripe for corruption. They've accomplished nothing. They can't keep the garbage picked up, the water on, the bodies off the streets, the schools open. I just keep going back to what have any of these people done?
I don't know. I mean, I think we actually need to get. Was there a time we didn't? We've always had a mayor, right? We've always had a mayor of Jackson. Are there other cities that don't have a mayor? They just have a city manager and a commissioners, or I don't know. I have to look that up.
The commissioner would be elected.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Same premise as a mayor, I guess.
I mean, if the state hopefully takes the city over, maybe they can work that out.
Yeah, because this form of government here, it basically has not worked since they put it in place. It was the installation of the council for black representation that was the inevitable decline of Jackson. That black representation having nothing to do with it, but that's what it was installed for, was minority representation.
Wouldn't minority still get representation with the commissioner? I don't remember how the commissioner.
Well, they would now.
Yeah.
Well, and some of Jackson was, I guess, majority white.
Okay.
You know, the minority wards weren't being represented.
I can see what you mean. Okay.
So I get it in sort of.
I get that. I get why they. Yeah.
But I don't pander to the minority. I mean, they don't pander to me in Jackson.
Well, I guess maybe they thought at the time it would have been. It would have been fairer. I think what we're dealing with is, let's just put it this way: if we were in another city, regardless of race, I think things would be fine to have a city council. It's just that everybody here, for some reason, doesn't want to act right. Like that's simple. Like it's not because somebody's black or somebody's white; they don't want to act right.
First off, quit electing people that don't have a full-time job or the financial means to not have to have a full-time job. Angelique Lee can't keep a job.
Does she not work?
She don't work.
Uh-huh.
Well, she got fired from her last job for her marijuana DUI.
Okay.
Aaron Banks, no full-time job.
I don't
know what the other ones do.
No.
So quit putting people on there that are ripe to be corrupted.
Oh, I think I found somebody told me the other night that Ashby's got like a financial services business or something. So,
well, that's what he suggested in that, interview he did with Kingfish, was that he had a career of dealing with 100 millionaires and billionaires in financial services and stuff of that nature.
I did think it was. I saw that Angelique Lee was posting a lot about this redistricting. I thought that was interesting.
Again, for a girl who allegedly didn't even live in her district when she got elected.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And some people still claim she doesn't.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that too.
Some claim she do. Some credible people say she do, and some credible people say she doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, it just it's such a hopefully whatever events transpire here in the near future, maybe we'll finally have a resolution to some of this. Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping.
Of course, I want to believe that, Sean, but I have zero faith in the voting base in Jackson. And look no further than Chalkway's re-election at 90-something%. And I know people will say there was voter apathy because there wasn't good candidates running against him. But man, I screamed at the top of my lungs for just change. Any change is good change to break up this free the land power structure in Jackson.
Yeah, because you only got 13,000 votes. I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, look, let's assume that rumors everybody you're hearing and the things we're seeing in the media shortly are true and going to happen. Now, under that thing, that gives the state some momentum to take this city over. I don't know what the legal mechanism for that is. I've heard differing opinions on whether you can do it, the state can do it, or they can't do it. So I don't know. Someone that's really into that probably can let us know. But but if the state has a political will to do that, I think now gives them the time if all these events do happen. I mean, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where that may be if the state would hold a city in a trust for a decade or something like that, maybe flesh these things out. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I'm with you. You can't do it for just a term. You got to do it needs to be a decade.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put a city manager in place.
Yeah.
Somebody who knows how to. We were talking about it this morning, and we got to go to a break here. Call or stay on hold. We got to call on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Somebody's got to know, like you said, the red lights cost $250,000.
That's what
basically an intersection, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be some grants available for that. Or you got to sit here and you got to go back to, all right, man, we don't get to do fun things till we get the red lights working. $1 million to do an intersection? Well, the way I look at it is there's probably a half dozen to a dozen intersections that don't have, and that's just in the downtown area, that don't have red lights working. Well, the zoo has been about a $10 million drain the last decade. The zoo's going to be the first thing to go. We're going to start doing away with the fun things.
Yeah.
What are some other things they're blowing money on? Oh, you brought up a great one, Bobby Rush Boulevard. That's $1 million project to change the street name.
Yeah, and I love Bobby Rush. I think he's a treasure to the city of Jackson, but I just don't think this is the time to spend money.
Give him a key to the city and move on.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Edwards Show. This segment will be brought to you by our friends right here in Flora, Mississippi. Parlor 1886. Parlor 1886, located on Main Street, right here in downtown Flora, right next to Main Street Railroad Pizza, on Main Street. Parlor 1886 is what they call Flora's living room, man. It's your new favorite place to go. Not just a restaurant and a bar. They're also a hangout spot. Whether your friends are looking to grab a drink, watch the game, or just chill with the friends, Parlor 1886 is the perfect place for you. And it's now open on Mondays as we get towards the end of summer, which we're only at the beginning, but Monday Night Football will crank back up soon. It'll be a great, great spot to go watch Monday Night Football and grab a drink after work or something to eat. Swing by today, make yourself at home. Parlor 1886, located on Main Street in Flora. Cool little spot, guys. They got some couch sections. They got high top tables, nice bar, games, all kind of fun stuff. Really neat place. Go by, check them out today in historic downtown Flora. Sean, let's bring our off-air conversation to air, but I want to start it at a different point. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. I promise we're going to read some text. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. So I've been arguing online with this lady whose two sons got killed here recently in gun violence.
Is that the one, the Mexican guy?
No. The Mexican guy killed his two parents.
Oh, okay. Is that what happened?
Yeah. No. This lady, one son got brought to Jackson and killed by two Rankin County guys.
Oh, that case.
And got killed in Jackson by a Jacksonian.
Mm-hmm.
The other son got killed, allegedly, air quotes in the studio, when he tried to rob a guy that he was buying a gun from.
Yeah, I remember that whole deal.
In Flowood there, or in whatever you call that reservoir area off Fannin.
Yeah, it was at Belgrove.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's technically the county, so it's not Flowood, but that's everything that side of Lakeland is Flowood to me.
Yeah.
It just is. I know they'll argue that. Neither here nor there. So she's mad at me. And she's mad because I talk about the mayor of Jackson. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. So she's been taking her frustrations out on me online because she's upset that her one son that got killed in Jackson, his murderer is being held without bond.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a pretty clear-cut situation where he got ruthlessly, viciously gunned down in the street. Just cold-blooded murder, right? And Dash did the right thing, and he's being held without bond.
Yeah.
The other son, different situation. And I think that the police are seeing it differently too, or the justice system, should I say, the DA. They've I don't know what they lowered the bond to, but they lowered the bond, I guess. He may or may not have gotten out. I don't know. But there's a lot of there's a lot of, I'll just say, very strong rumors and innuendo that he was robbing the guy.
Yeah, I've heard that too as well. Yeah,
and so he's, I guess, got a lower bond, which I think he shouldn't have. If they feel like that's the case, if the text messages, the evidence point towards it was self-defense, I don't think he should have a bond at all. Let the grand jury decide and release the guy on his own recognizance.
Yeah,
I mean, but so maybe they see something there that we don't. Obviously, Bubba Bramlett and them would know, not Clay and SHAUN.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, they're very good at their jobs over there. I'm sure they're going to follow wherever the evidence leads. So.
Yep. So I want to use this to bring up a bigger point. When you decide to get up out of Jackson, I mean, you're sitting here defending Jackson to the 10th power. Are these murders that happened when that guy effed around and found out yesterday in Flowood? She tagged me in a post. Is this the mayor of Flowood's fault? No, it's the guy who pointed the gun at the cop's fault. Yeah. And if he hadn't pointed the gun, he'd be in jail. I don't know why it's so hard for these people to get it through their heads. We know crime happens everywhere. It's the way it gets punished in other places. It's the fact that Bubba Bramlett ain't a George Soros-funded soft-on-crime DA. Yeah, I just don't understand why there's not a corrupt mayor, allegedly, that hates the cops over here in these areas.
That's the thing I think it is. Someone like Chokwe facilitates crime. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
Where I don't think the mayor of Flowood is trying to facilitate crime.
No.
The Chokwe absolutely facilitates it in allegedly his own life and in the city. So
he's an anti-cop mayor.
Yeah.
So here's my greater point. When you decide to get up out of Jackson, because clearly you decided to get up out of Jackson, and you moved to the safe confines of Rankin County, so kids could have a better life, presumably. Mm-hmm. You got to leave your Jackson BS at the river. I did. I had to leave my Jackson, my hood. I had to leave my hood crap in Jackson. I knew I couldn't bring that over to Rankin County. You have to do that. You have to check that at the door. Mm-hmm. You are a guest when you ain't from somewhere. SHAUN, did your dad, when he came to America, did he bring the nonsense from his home country to America, or did he assimilate and do American stuff?
Yeah, I mean, well, Turkey's a little bit different than a lot of the Arab countries, but yes, I mean, in terms of assimilating, yeah, I mean, he's definitely part of that generation that were big in assimilation.
So let's play this forward a little bit. When you move from a crime-ridden third world hellhole to somewhere that's not, do you assimilate to the ways that keep that place safe and not a third world crime hellhole?
I mean, you'd hope you would, but just sometimes that doesn't happen.
But clearly,
obviously, it doesn't happen. So
clearly,
but then that's why different communities. And I'm not just talking about Rankin or Madison. I'm talking about just any community that people believe in law and order. They're going to take care of that situation. When you live in a community that doesn't care about that, with a mayor that doesn't care about that, then that's not going to happen. So I mean, it just fleshes itself out is the way I look at it.
Well, it's why you have. So a lot of people choose to try to stay and fight this. They're like, man, I'm not going to move, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about people in Belhaven and Fondren here. I'm talking about people in Georgia and Louisiana who have decided, you know what, we're just going to secede from these cities. Mm-hmm. We're not moving. Yeah. We're just going to create our own city because we're tired of your nonsense. You got that pulled up?
Yeah, it's there's a city in I guess it's a part of Baton Rouge called St. George that is now trying to create their own community. Mm-hmm. And it
was 10 years in the making, by the way. It just finally.
Oh, is that okay? So I don't know. Became aware of this.
The Louisiana Supreme Court approved it after a decade-long legal fight.
So they have approved it now. Okay. And the journalists are trying to say basically this is racism. How can you do that? And there's some comments from some of the citizens that are pretty interesting. This one actually I looked at particularly that reminds me of Jackson. And this guy says, I live in that area of Baton Rouge, and what the journalists are writing is an absolute lie. There are expensive houses on the periphery, but most houses are in the $200,000 range, primarily blue-collar people, including plenty of black people who are also tired of paying taxes to a city with widespread corruption, one of the highest murder rates in the country, roads that are falling apart, barely functioning public transport, and some of the worst public schools in the country. It has nothing to do with race. I think that's the same thing here. You know?
I want the other comment that you read about the same people in here calling this racist were the same people that were praising when part of Atlanta decided it was blacks only.
Yeah, talking about, like, I guess BLM wanted to create a just black-only section, and then they were saying, like, they were praising that, but now they're mad about this. And, you know, so now they're mad. I mean, there's, you know, kind of double standard on that. But
I just don't know why people that hate us so much are so damn insistent on us having to live around them and be governed by them. It goes back to being tax slaves. They need us, and I mean blue-collar people, not white. They need blue-collar, hard-working, letter-of-the-law type people to pay the bills.
Yeah, I think that's what this guy's comment saying right there. It's like, hey, wait, we all live over here, black and white, and it's not that. It's a problem that y'all are a bunch of idiots that are running the city of Baton Rouge, which is the same thing we probably have in Jackson. I mean, that's the problem. It's not that, you know, anybody. It's not a race issue in terms of, like, who lives amongst you. It's that there's that everybody needs to get. Everybody can see it. Look what's going on. I mean, the mayor is now in the middle of a, you know, investigation, is what we've all seen in the paper, or what's going on. I mean, what's going to come from? Hopefully we're all going to see this flesh out in the next few weeks about how bad this is. And, I mean, then, you know, I think everybody can make their own decisions on that, what that looks like and what we think about it, and how that, you know, the mayor's possible corruption has nothing to do with race. It's him. It's him.
Yeah, his corruption isn't race-based.
No.
Let's take a call real quick on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, sorry to...
Hey,
you got about 60 seconds. Hey, buddy, you got about 60 seconds, brother.
Okay, real quick. Jackson's beyond saving. But there are a few people that I know that are over there that are old like me. They're in a house, and they cannot move because they don't have the means. That's the only reason we should fight to save Jackson. The rest of them can go jump in the reservoir wearing concrete blocks and chains.
Amen, brother. And it's the only reason I'm fighting the fight I am, because my parents are right there in that boat. Thank you, buddy.
And one last thing. Bobcat called me.
Finally. Good deal, man. Good deal. I'm glad you did that for me. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, land the plane for the day. We got Shaun Yurtkuran here in the studio on The Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show, here with Shaun Yurtkuran. Let's at least try to read a text or two. I apologize, y'all. I do appreciate the text on the Guns and Gear text line. Wild Bill said, no knock on Shaun for being a Democrat, but why are y'all surprised? Almost all Democrat-ran cities are third world hellholes. You know, I haven't always just really, really thought that, but then I've sat here and looked at Atlanta this week, and they had the same water problems that Jackson has. Now, we haven't heard about their water plants being understaffed, but
not calibrating the instruments.
And they can't play the racism card on any level. They've had a black mayor since 1971.
Yeah.
So over 50 years they haven't done any major infrastructure upgrades. But man, they have celebrated their blackness. Let's see here. Ready Teddy says, there are 35 MDOC inmates on death row, and only one is from Hinds County.
That's the one I put on death row.
And it's the one Shaun prosecuted
that's the one,
out of thousands of murders. Man, that says it all right there. Home run text, Teddy. Shaun, thank you. Guys, buy FAFO.com. Let's sell some shirts today. We got the Vote Felon 24, Make Liberals Cry Again shirt available. It's available in a classic Gildan tee and the soft fit athletic cut tri-blend tee, like all my FAFO shirts are. Also, the FAFO tank tops are now available. I'll be out tonight in person at Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, downtown Brandon for Cordless Corner Finals, and I will have a box of shirts and tanks and caps with me for sale. See you later. See you tomorrow.